Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time you happen to be watching our service today. This is the first Sunday of June, and I'd like to welcome you to our annual Flower Communion service. This is a unique Unitarian Universalist ritual that we're going to explore and explain as we make our way through the service. On the Sundays when we can meet in person, which is every other year so far until now, when we can meet in person, people bring a flower to the service. Some of us forget to bring a flower. Some of us didn't remember, didn't even know that we were supposed to bring a flower, but that's okay because we always have a lot of extra flowers out front. And as you enter the foyer, you place the flower. You can see a congregational bouquet has already begun, and other people have put flowers in ahead of you. And you can see that this is just going to be a stunning bouquet. It's got far more variety, far more flowers than any bouquet you ever see at a professional florist. The visual display is stunning. There's just so much beauty. This year, since we can't gather in person, we asked you to send in photos of flowers and your wonderful selves, and about 100 of you responded and sent in flowers, which have been wonderfully displayed in a collage created by our own Doc Hadley and Ben Cavaletta. But if you didn't get to participate in this way, I now invite you to imagine the flower you would bring to the service and offer. I like forget-me-nots. That's what I'm going to offer. What flower are you offering? Think about that. That flower that you are now placing in our bouquet, in your mind's eye, that flower symbolizes you. Reflect upon the beauty of the flower you have offered. And may this serve as a reminder that your authentic and glorious and altogether unique self adds beauty and meaning to our common life. So whoever you are, and how I wish I could see you, know that we bid you a grateful welcome. May our community be a place where the sunshine of love helps you to blossom into the fullness of your unique being. Welcome.
Our opening hymn today is Spring Has Now Unwrapped the Flowers. It's number 63 in the gray hymnal. Spring has now unwrapped the flowers, day is fast reviving, life in all her growing powers, toward the light is striving. Guard the iron touch of cold, winter time and frost time, seedlings working through the mold, now make up for lost time. Herb and plant that winter long slumbered at their leisure, now be stirring green and strong, find in growth their pleasure. Now the world with beauty fills, gold the green enhancing, flowers make glee among the hills, search the meadows dancing.
Adapted from Israeli Zangwell. Come into the circle of love and justice. Come into the community of mercy, holiness, and health. Come, and you shall know peace and joy. Please join me in saying our affirmation. Love is our doctrine. Compassion is our way. Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration. Build a community of caring fellowship, nurture the hopes, and serve the needs of our world. Each morning, we must hold out the chalice of our being to receive, to carry, and to give back. Dag Hammarskjöld. Each week, here at UUCS, we light 3 chalices. The first, for those of us gathered here in this congregation. The second chalice we light for our Unitarian partner church in Šibenfalva, Transylvania, Romania. And the third we light for our children and youth in religious exploration and in the world at large. Blessed be. I'd like you to all know that we're still having children and family services Sundays at 10 a.m. via Zoom. I hope you join and enjoy.
Even as I am speaking right now today, we record the service a little before early June, but today the flames are burning in cities across America. This is the consequence of a lack of societal awareness and compassion. For too long, we have acquiesced to the injustice of poverty and the physical and the psychological and the spiritual harm this causes. For too long, we have acquiesced to systems of policing and criminal justice that fail to serve us, especially minority communities and those who are poor. People of color have especially suffered from this lack of awareness and compassion. And so this morning, even as the smoldering flames of anger and injustice continue to burn, let us imagine a nation and a world in which compassion for each and every person is the norm. I'd like to invite you now to take a moment. Take a moment to envision all those who suffer from want and injustice in our nation, in our world. Let us be aware. Let us be aware of all those, especially those who are put more at risk during this time of the pandemic. Let us be aware. Let us feel the call, hear the call, and heed the call of compassion now and always, always, always. Compassion is our way. I invite you now to imagine somebody in your mind's eye for whom you would like to send special prayers and thoughts of compassion on this morning. Gratitude. On a trip to the deserts of Central and Eastern Oregon recently, my eye was repeatedly drawn by the subtle beauty of the humblest desert grasses of reddish purple hue swaying in the gentle breeze, just that small grass, so easy to overlook. How easy it is to overlook the subtle beauty of the ordinary things that are the background of our lives. How good it is to pause and to be aware of what is around you at this very moment. The air, the water, the sunshine, the loving presence of family and friends. What a gift it all is. What a gift. And as you are aware of the simplest of gifts, feelings of gratitude arise. Feelings of gratitude for each and every gift fills the sails of our being as we continue the voyage we are on. I invite you now to Envision in your mind's eye that for which you feel grateful at this very moment. Feel the gratitude in your heart. Let it grow and let it swell. Let it fill your being. Gratitude. Gratitude. Amen. We would invite you to share your joys and concerns with the rest of us. If you would go to our website from week to week, and you can see from the slide we have up here now, it shows you how to submit your joy or concern. We'd like to be filling one another in on how we're all doing. So please remember to submit a joy or concern as you will for our future services. Thank you.
Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessings on these thy messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us, amid diversities of knowledge and of gifts, to be one in desire and affections and devotion of thy holy will. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of thy most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship, but may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do thy work in this world. Amen. In the name of Providence, which implants in the seed the future of the flower, and in our hearts the longing for people to live in harmony. In the name of the highest, to whom we move and who makes the mother and father, the brother and sister, lover and loner what they are. In the name of sages and great religious leaders who sacrificed their lives to hasten the coming of the age of mutual respect. Let us renew our resolution, sincerely to be real brothers and sisters, regardless of any kind of bar which estranges us from one another. In this holy resolve, may we be strengthened, knowing that we are God's family, that one Spirit, the Spirit of love, unites us, an endeavor for a more perfect and more joyful life. Amen.
When I first arrived here in 1993 to be your minister, I had 6 years of ministerial experience under my belt. So I thought I knew a thing or two. One thing I did not know was how important it was to listen to Jane's Fields when she offered me feedback on how to properly observe our annual flower communion. I hope some of you will remember Jane. She died a few years ago. I was just in touch with her son recently. We were supposed to have lunch and we can't, but we'll do it soon. Anyway, both Jane's father and her brother died from the Spanish flu pandemic a century ago. And so she was raised by her single mom who returned to school. Her husband had been a doctor, but now she suddenly had to work and raise the family, or raise Jane and support herself. And so her mom returned to school to earn a degree that enabled her to work as a librarian to support Jane. Inspired by her mom's example, Jane resolved to chart her own course in life. And as a young girl, she visited the original Unitarian church in Salem, that existed here from around 1890 to 1938. Our own congregation began as a lay-led fellowship in 1949, and so Jane was the only person around who had ever been to the original Unitarian church here in Salem. It's now a law office. You can go down and see it downtown, right across from the coffee house. Jane loved what she had discovered through our tradition, an open-minded tradition that honored both faith and reason. And she became a lifelong Unitarian, and later, after the merger with the Universalist, she was a Unitarian Universalist. Jane, who served on the Ministerial Search Committee in 1992 that recommended me as a candidate for this ministry, she had the delightful ability to be both very straightforward and loving. You never had to wonder what Jane really thought. And after the first flower communion, she let me know that I didn't quite understand how it was supposed to go. Well, I knew better. I knew better. After all, I had officiated at several flower communions during my first ministry. And I had often compared notes with other ministers about this unique Unitarian Universalist ritual. So I was pretty sure I knew more about this than Jane did. Nevertheless, I gently, non-committally thanked her for whatever feedback she was trying to give me, and I assumed that she would forget or let it go and we could move on. It took me another couple of flower communions to realize that there would be no moving on. Jane wasn't letting this go. So, seeing no other alternative, I finally decided to listen to her, so I could help her move beyond this fixation she had about the proper way to observe the flower communion. So I listened to Jane, and she told me about her visit to Prague in the Czech Republic some years before, where she had met the elderly folks who had been members of the Unitarian Church of Prague when it was founded by the Reverend Norbert Čapek in 1921. Čapek was originally a Baptist minister in his homeland, but he learned about Unitarianism while studying here in the United States. And so when he returned to his native land, he became a staunch advocate of our free faith religious tradition, one that honored the wisdom and intellectual freedom of its members, and one that did not impose creeds or doctrines. Reverend Čapek's Unitarian Church grew to several thousand because he was a charismatic minister, and his fellow Czechs were so hungry for religion that invited them to think for themselves and wasn't burdened with rote, meaningless rituals. But after a time, however, Čapek realized that the congregation should have some ritual to build community. It would need to be a ritual that wouldn't remind his members of the old rituals they had left behind, but they needed some ritual, he could tell. And so he created the flower communion ritual in 1923, almost a century ago, which his wife, Madja, introduced to the American Unitarians in 1940, the first American Unitarians to practice the flower communion. It was in 1940. Due to the war raging in Europe at the time, Madja was not able to return to her homeland, and she only learned afterwards that her husband, Reverend Čapek, a very courageous and compassionate minister who opposed the Nazis, he had been arrested by them and died in a concentration camp. In his life, Reverend Norbert Čapek's life exemplified the highest ideals alluded to in the flower communion, which is to be true to yourself, your values, and to others that you meet in life. On this flower communion Sunday, during those times when we can gather, on those flower communion Sundays when we can gather, you bring a flower that symbolizes you in a very profound and significant way. Consider the diversity of flowers there are in our beautiful state of Oregon. It's stunningly beautiful, and our human diversity is even more glorious. So the flower communion is an invitation to be your precious and bold and beautiful and utterly unique self. It's an invitation to blossom and grow and persevere. It's important that you get to be who the spirit of life and love is calling you to be, both for your own self-fulfillment and so that we fulfill the promise of community where each one of us has something unique and important to offer. A few weeks ago, I got an email from George Struble, and he mentioned to me that there were some pansies. Pansies were growing up between the seams of our concrete walkway at our entrance. And he was right, and they were beautiful. It was lovely to see all the colors there and to reflect upon the reality of what I was seeing. It's not uncommon to refer to someone who is weak or fearful as a pansy, but consider the strength of these pansies and their perseverance. Don't underestimate the pansies. More importantly, don't underestimate others. A lesson Jane helped me to learn. She actually did know a lot more about the flower communion than I did. After all, she, who taught world religions in community colleges and in the prisons, she had actually taken a pilgrimage to the original site and source of the flower communion. And she had talked with those elderly Czech Unitarians who, when they were children, had participated in the very first flower communion in Unitarian history, nearly a century ago. And she learned from them that this ritual always occurs when? When does this ritual occur? You remember? It's the first Sunday of June. This makes sense, really. Think about it. Most religions designate certain times or times of the lunar or solar cycles when certain rituals or practices are observed. In my era, one promisely practiced among my colleagues, I'm sad to say, was to observe the flower communion on no particular Sunday in the spring. It got mixed up with Easter sometimes. Sometimes we did it on Mother's Day, sometimes on Earth Day, but no set date from year to year. But then Jane, once her pansy-like persistence found a way through the resistance of my concrete-like obtuseness, she helped me to realize that our flower communion is about something vital for us. It shouldn't be mixed up with other rituals and practices. This flower communion symbolizes the principle that lies at the core of our tradition: freedom of conscience and expression. It's a freedom that leads to the creation of authentic and rich and diverse community. And having clarity on when to observe this day ensures that this tradition continues to take deep root and always blooms on the first Sunday of June. Today, when I chat with ministerial colleagues, and I discover sometimes I do that they have had their flower communions on the wrong Sunday, I am filled with the spirit of Jane Fields. And I gently admonish my wayward colleagues and I set them straight. Here's one of my fondest wishes, fondest memories of Jane. A few years ago, I was asked to lead the worship at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of McMinnville. It's a relatively new group at the time. And they wanted me to properly introduce them to the flower communion. So of course, I invited Jane to join me. It was a beautiful spring day as we crossed the Willamette River on the Wheatland Ferry and then drove through the beautiful countryside to the senior center where the fellowship meets. Note, we were heading over there to McMinnville. It was not the first Sunday of June. Of course, if it had been, I would have been in Salem. I introduced Jane and I told of how she had learned about the flower communion from those elderly Czech Unitarians in Prague who had participated in the first and original flower communion. And thus, she did carry the true flame of this unique tradition from its source and had come to bless theirs. You know, one thing I can't remember about that Sunday was whether it was me or Jane who pointed out that this ritual should always be practiced on the first Sunday of June. Take a breath and just be present with yourself in this moment. Recognize the gift of your being. Who you are in this world matters. We need you. We need you to be who you are called to be, your unique self. I invite us all now to pause for a moment, reflecting upon the deeper meanings and purposes of our lives. Think now of how you can become ever more bold and authentic and courageous and compassionate. Let us be together now in a period of silence as we ponder upon these things. Consecration of the Flowers. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessings on these thy messengers of fellowship and love, referring to the flowers in our bouquet. May they remind us amid diversities of knowledge and of gifts to be one in desire and affection and devotion to thy holy will. May these flowers also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of thy most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of another's talent discourage us or sully our relationship, but may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do thy work in this world.
Our congregation shows its connections to the spirit of love through its ongoing generosity. We support UUCS through our pledges, time, and connections with one another. We support the Salem community through donations to the Marion Polk Food Share, and this month, for the month of June, the Nellie Thompson Dorothy Patch Scholarship Fund. This scholarship is for students of color. Applicants must submit a one-page typed or printed essay describing how they plan to further their educational goals and training in order to make a contribution to their community. This is only for students in the Salem-Keizer area. Please send your checks to UUCS or visit the website, as you see here, to donate. Thank you for maintaining the community of UUCS and the larger community of Salem. And now Rick will join us and light the social justice candle. We take the light from our chalice. Lighting the social justice candle is a symbolic reminder of the light and justice we carry out into the world. As we extinguish our chalice, let us remember these words from Psalm 92. It is a joy to give thanks to the Eternal, to sing thy praise, O thou Most High, to proclaim thy goodness in the morning to the sweet music of the lyre. I sing for joy at all that thou hast done. May you carry this joy in your hearts until we meet again.
Our closing hymn today is, "Oh, Give Us Pleasure in the Flowers Today." It's number 64 in the gray hymnal. Oh, give us pleasure in the flowers today, and give us not to think so far away, as the uncertain harvest keep us here, all simply in the springing of the year. Oh, give us pleasure in the orchard wide, like nothing else by day, like ghosts by night, and make us happy in the happy bees, the swarm dilating round the perfect trees, and make us happy in the darting bird that suddenly above the bees is heard, the meteor that thrusts in with needle bill, and off a blossom in mid-air stands still. For this is love, and nothing else is love, the which it is reserved for God above, to sanctify to what far ends He will, but which it only needs that we fulfill.
Would you please let us symbolically join our hands? Maybe while we say our closing words, if you just reach your hands out and be thinking of all those wonderful people in the community you used to hold hands with and will one day again hold hands with. And let us say our closing words together. May faith in the spirit of life, hope for the community of earth, and love for the sacred in one another be ours now and in all the days to come.